Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of NC-17. My name is Josh, and today we have a very special guest. He's a writer, director, actor, all-around good dude, and a lover of the Friday the 13th series. We got Bob Heckman with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, trust me. So before we get into the industry and everything, the entertainment and stuff like that, kind of take us back as a child and just kind of reminiscent of what really got you into wanting to be in film.
I would have to say, I mean, right off the bat, my earliest memory, and I think Sean King kind of talked about this too the other day on your podcast. But my earliest memories are of going to the movies. And I think my earliest memory overall is seeing Pinocchio, obviously on a re-release in like the end of 1978, uh beginning of 79. There was a re-release of Disney's Pinocchio movie that my mom took me to, and my earliest memories are images of going across the street in the wintertime to the movie theater. And then, of course, the scary part of the movie where they're inside the whale's mouth and stuff like that must have been, a jolt. The first time maybe I felt fear or, any kind of emotion towards a movie or something. But I was 2 going on 3 years old. So these are has to be my earliest memories. Um, so right off the bat, I knew I was in love with movies and TV and all forms of movies. As I got older, and I mean older as in 5 or 6 years old, discovering these Star Wars movies and Indiana Jones movies, and I remember, I think I was 6 or 7, and watching Raiders of the Lost Ark at my oh well, Raiders of the Lost Ark is also the very first VHS tape my parents rented from the video store when they opened in like 1983, 82, 83. Um, so sorry, my cat's being really annoying.
Oh no.
Uh, he craves way too much attention, and I can't. Um, but uh, yeah, I'll never forget going to the video store for the first time and renting Raise of the Lost Ark. Well, my dad rented that, and I rented uh Saturday Night Live's Mr. Bill collection, and something, for kids. But he told me like, oh, you should watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he put that on, and I was like mesmerized by it. And I wasn't like grossed out at the end or anything. I was kind of more fascinated by the effects and things like that. But I remember going to my grandfather's house, who for a while that was the only videotape that they had with their VCR. So every week when I would go to my grandparents' house, uh, I would watch Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I remember sitting there with a notepad and copying the end credits down in a book, like, best boy, grip, and like director, producer, all the actors' names and their characters' names, and wondering like what are these job functions of these. I was just intrigued immediately by movies, and but yeah, growing up with Star Wars and fantasy films, and I mean, horror was right there in that mix. Seeing Night of Living Dead for the first time, um and so sorry, my cat again.
Oh, you're right.
He's about to cause some damage, and I'm going to be pretty annoyed. Hey, stop! Throwing little softballs at him.
Oh yeah.
He'll probably walk by here any second. Um, but seeing Halloween premiere on TV, for the first time, like in 1981, 82, Uh, I was completely into it. Night of the Living Dead is the first horror movie that actually freaked me out because of how bleak that ending is.
Oh yeah.
The main character getting shot in the head. I was just like, whoa, like movies can actually do that. Have like, I'm used to Disney movies and happy endings, and even like Halloween and Friday the 13th movies like have kind of a happy ending. The monster's defeated or whatever, it's like, but Night of the Living Dead was like a shock to the system with like all the characters dying. I was like, what? I'm like, this is awful.
Oh
But
yeah.
it was like it creeped me out.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I knew at an early age I really wanted to get into making movies, at least making movies with my friends in the backyard and pulling them into it and creating things. And I had friends too that like we would just make up stories just around the backyard and stuff like that and create kind of movies without cameras. We were just like tell a story and then I was like, all right, next time we hang out, we'll continue this, just acting
Oh yeah.
and seeing where the story goes and make Jason movies. We used to dress up like Jason and scare the neighborhood kids and things like that. But yeah, that's pretty much where it started. And I knew eventually I would start making films, you know.
Yeah. Uh, so I did a little bit of research, and I know that a very influential film to you was Night of the Creeps.
Oh yes, Night of the Creeps. And I see you perfectly placed uh, two autographed photos of Joe Whitlow and Jason Lively of Night of the Creeps right behind you.
Yes. Well, I did. I met them both year after,
Yes.
like in two separate years, but I've seen that movie 141 times.
I'm probably right there with you. And that's no exaggeration. I would watch Night of the Creeps when I first discovered it over and over again. I recorded it off of TV, so the TV version back in the day actually had the director's cut ending with the spaceship over the
Graveyard.
cemetery.
Yep.
Um, so I watched that version way more times than the regular VHS theatrical version because it was the better ending. I think you agree.
Oh yeah.
um, but it's funny, the cast to that movie like never even seen that ending until the director's cut commentary. They were like, I'd never seen this. Apparently they didn't watch their movie on TV. Um, but yeah, years ago, it's going back 15 years now. When I first met Jill Whitlow, we like immediately became friends. Uh, we were really tight. We still are very, very tight. She's one of my close friends. And Jason Lively was great, and Steve Marshall was awesome. Uh, Tom Atkins as well, of course, Tom Atkins, but every time I meet him, he doesn't know who the hell I am. But Jason and Steve, they're really awesome, and I love hanging out with those guys. Um, but yeah, so Night of the Creeps, one of my top five favorite films of all time. Absolutely love it. Yeah, and I knew when I was going to make a short film. I mean, I made a bunch of short films back in my past in the early 2000s and everything. Then I took a long break. Life got in the way. I got a job with a retirement plan and pension and everything. I put it aside, put making movies aside, but I knew I was going to get back into it eventually. And I said, well, I think it's time to make a movie and decided to make a Friday 13th tribute film because it's my favorite franchise. And my connections to like Joe Whitlow and Catherine Mary Stewart and a bunch of other like close, I call them celeb buddies. So celebrity buddies there. I'm like, well, I got to get them involved and make something fun. And of course, making Jill kind of be the same character from Night of the Creeps just kind of continued into my Friday 13th movie. we're in the multiverse now. We could like do crossovers and stuff, especially if it's shown for free and I don't have to worry about rights. So,
All right.
um, but anyway, so yes, I
Uh,
love Night of the Creeps.
all right. So I'm not gonna ask you to give a synopsis of Victim No More because I'm pretty sure now that you're going into the second one, talking about the first one just kind of might not be the best. So I'll give you my interpretation of the film if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you only recently watched it, right, for the first
Yeah.
time. Oh,
Well, I've done seen it 5 times now.
okay. Now, if you have any questions at all that maybe some things don't make any sense, I could answer them right here and there, and try to make things more clear for you if they're not clear enough.
Uh, well, first, let me tell you before I get into anything about the film, I really did enjoy it.
Thank you.
And the way that the story is connected, I mean, I got it, and I'm gonna get to the ending of that film because I was like, yeah, we'll get to the ending of that film.
Yeah, well,
But the character Robbie, I don't like a lot of people, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of people who've seen it and talked about it said, well, it's about him trying to prove to his family Jason is dead and all this other stuff. I
right.
think it's more along the lines of he's trying to get out of his family's past shadows so he can move on with his life. That's what I took away from it.
Yeah, and he kind of mentions that kind of briefly in the therapy session with Jill Whitlow,
Yeah,
um, who's trying to explain to him, and he's a young kind of innocent, naive kid who doesn't quite understand. He'll say he understands what his mom went through, but he doesn't really he doesn't get it. He thinks like, "Hey, Jason's been dead for years, mom. Like, can you get over this?" And it's like, and even the therapist is like, "That's not how trauma works. Like it's with you every day. And she's overprotective for a reason. Like this is terrible things that happen to her." But yeah, he wants to get out from under her like protective, smothering mother. Like I kind of feel like at one point or another we've all felt like that as a teenager or somebody in their early 20s, where it's like, "Mom, Dad, leave me alone. Let me have my life. Let me be my own man. Allow me to grow up." Uh, so he has that in him. He's kind of like he's being a spoiled brat in a way, in some ways. And that's a hard character to like pull off without being like really annoying to the audience. It's like I felt like he pulled off. He understood the character of being like naive and innocent and annoyed at his mom, but like trying to be sympathetic towards her and just like yelling, snapping at her 1 second and be like, "No, mom, I'm sorry, but you don't understand." Blah blah blah. But yeah. So you're kind of accurate with that. Yeah, that's basically the idea. And just going to the place where that caused his mom's trauma, and showing that everything is fine and Jason's not around anymore doesn't help her trauma.
right.
So he's kind of doing it a little bit selfishly, like he's just kind of just proven to himself, like, "Hey, I can go live my life out in the world and nothing bad will happen." But as we know, now he's probably traumatized for the rest of his life. So
Oh yeah. uh, but there's also so outside of Robbie, there's the couple and their friend that are also going there and stuff like that. So you
yeah,
add a lot of depth because you add multiple stories to one story, which is good. You know.
yeah. Otherwise, it would have been, this kid walking around the woods for like 40 minutes, in real time, and like nobody wants to see that. So it had to cut away to other characters doing something,
Oh yeah.
the B story, as
Oh yeah.
which a lot of people enjoy more than watching Robbie walk around, because it's like, well, they could play off of each other. She has a brother that's pretending to like, scare them, and there's more entertaining things going on, with the other characters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were writing these characters and you were writing a story and everything like that, was it like you living out your teenage dreams of like, hey, we want to do this, but I want to film it for the masses to see and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I always loved the franchise. Like I said, when I was a kid, we used to play Jason, in the neighborhood. And when I came up with the idea for the story, it was kind of like the first thing that came into my head. I'm like, well, would it be cool to like see how multi-generational, like how this would affect survivors' children and like how overprotective they are of them because of what they went through, and like let's see what, and maybe a kid who doesn't understand because you know we don't really know sometimes what the hell our parents went through that were like um traumatizing for them or whatever the case. um so it was kind of the first idea I thought of, and then I thought like, I'm like, ooh, I'm also really good friends with Amy Steele, the survivor from part two, Ginny, and Kimberly Beck from part four, who, as we know, is Robbie's mom, Trish Jarvis. So I'm like great friends with them. So I was like, ooh, maybe I can get them involved in the movie somehow too. So this will be like fun, just to be like a dream come true for me to have, these fun cameo appearances, but also like have a really good DP behind it, Sean King.
Yeah.
um have it look really good and well done, and put a lot of money into it, and it was the exact length that I think it should be. And it was funny because at the time I was going to film it in 2020 for the 40th anniversary. Like you'll see all over online, I called it my 40th anniversary Friday 13th tribute film. um and it was going to be 40 minutes long, so it's 40 minutes long, but unfortunately COVID happened, which changed a few things, and I had to postpone it an entire year to the summer of 2021. And that was a bummer because at the end of the movie, and we'll get there, uh, Amy Steele was supposed to reprise her role as Ginny. And it would have been amazing because everything would have came full circle to it's the first survivor girl of Jason, one of the probably the best in most people's eyes. Uh, and she's facing off with Sackhead Jason again. So it's like completely full circle. You know, if that would have happened, I probably wouldn't have done a sequel or wanted to do a sequel, but like I thought like, oh my God, Ginny ending this movie. But COVID happened. She didn't want to leave the state of Oregon for like a year. So I was like, all right. I'm like, I gotta think of something else. And then I was like, Catherine Mary Stewart, like play Megan Jarvis, be Megan from part six. Um, which I feel like, that actress that played Megan and Jason Lives like never acted after that again. So I feel like I upgraded in actresses, you know, the Weekend at Bernie's chick, and Night of the Comet, Night of the, Last Starfighter. I mean, Catherine is amazing. She's a mentor of mine, and she she just loves to get involved and not only act but suggest, as a director, as a fellow director. Um, sometimes play production assistant on set. She has fun making movies.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but yes, sorry, I went off on a
no,
couple
you're good.
outs.
Hey, it's your show. I'm just here sitting enjoying. So
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
yeah.
hoping I'm answering your questions.
Oh yeah, no, you are.
Okay.
uh, so let's get to the ending because the way that I looked at it, now I thought for sure, Robbie was about to get 187.
187. Moited. He was about to get moited.
But then I want to say you had your really bad analogy here, but you had your Avengers Assemble kind of moment.
Which is hilarious because a friend of mine who thought the ending was just absurd. Um, he put together a clip of the ending with the Avengers music. So, like I was just like, that's hilarious. And one day I'll post that because I thought it was so well done.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but yes,
You know,
yeah.
what I did, and that wasn't a knock on anything. 'Cause I'm really tired of Marvel. I've had so much of Marvel, you
Okay.
know.
I'm a
But
Marvel nut, so I I love it all.
oh
Most
yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
get I get it. I mean, we've had 25 years of Marvel stuff, so I could see being tired of it.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still gonna watch it, but
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
but
Daredevil Born Again has been amazing, though. I just gotta say, throwing that out.
I will say it has. That it's getting me. That and
The
Deadpool and
episode has been better
Wolverine.
than the last.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
incredible.
so when coming up with the ending, and did you know specifically what each character was going to look like and what kind of weapon they were going to have? And I mean, you had one lady there just with a can of gasoline, and I'm like, oh, they're going to fry this fucker.
Good old gas can Sally.
Yes.
Yes, I definitely wanted the gas can person to who's my next door neighbor actually. Um, so yeah, I wanted her to like show up with the gas cans. Um, there was a few that I was specific on, like they're gonna have this kind of weapon. Um, there was one older woman there that had an axe, like an old axe, that in the credits I named Higgins. So in my mind, she could possibly be the survivor from part three, Chris Higgins. You know, she was wearing sunglasses, so you really couldn't tell what she looked like, except she had like little grayish hair or something. And she's there with an axe, and she's dressed in like kind of similar color clothes
Hmm.
that Higgins wore in part three, the blue and everything. So it was kind of left up to the audience's imagination, just seeing her for like a few seconds. But yeah, I had to put there was a girl there with a flamethrower. So at the very end, after the credits, you see Jill Whitlow on the phone. Did you watch all the way past the
Yep.
end credits? Okay, all right. So yeah, so you see Jill saying like, "Yeah, you can borrow my flamethrower," you know. So and that flamethrower is something that Sean King and I made for Jill when she did conventions to do the photo ops. So the in costume photo ops, so she would have a flamethrower with her. Uh, yeah, that it fell apart, and I got to put that assemble that thing back together one day. Um, so yeah, some of the actors that show up in that group did their own costuming, whether it was like camouflage pants or uh, there was one that had like pink hair.
Yep.
Um, she designed her whole outfit, and she was also like a co-costume designer on set, and like uh if you notice there like some of the you have to look really closely, but a lot of the shirts and costumes they had this little symbol on it with an S with a nail through it. And I called them my Survivor Squad. So like I mean it's briefly seen on a couple of close-ups. You could see the S with the nail through it. So that's my patch or pin of the Survivor Squad. So it's these group of it's not only women, it's also men. Just men were doing other things that day. Um, that Megan, Catherine Mary Stewart, kind of assembled, Avengers assemble. Um, kind of assembled this like, yes, it started off as therapy sessions and everything, and then they decided to kind of form a like monster squad to go out there and take down different monsters that maybe were traumatic in their lives. Jason, of course, playing a huge part in a bunch of their lives, whether it's them that survived Jason in the past or a relative that was, you know, a victim, um, a family member of theirs or something. So I know where most of those women that show up at the end, like what happened in their past. It's not explained, but I have my own imagination about it, and hopefully other people could have theirs. Even Gas Can Sally has a past, and you'll get another taste of that in the sequel with a few of those women.
Oh
So,
yeah. Uh, so let's talk about your Jason Voorhees.
okay.
So there's so many different incantations of Jason Voorhees, and each one has its own characteristics.
Mhm.
But this one seems more like a homegrown Jason. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, because this one seems more like a fresher one because like there's certain scenes he just pops up out of nowhere and and normally it's like you turn around and he's just there, but no, you literally see where he's coming from, especially when he reaches through old girl. But I don't, well, spoiler.
You could spoil the first one as much as you want. If people are interested, they'll go watch it. But I feel like it's been 4 years. Like a lot of people have seen it. I actually thought way more people would have seen this movie by now, but the algorithms have, I mean, like once we hit 100,000, I feel like there was a huge bump in views.
Yeah.
But I still think like, it's still not Never Hike Alone numbers or Jason Risen numbers or Vengeance. It's like, so there are still millions of people that still have not seen it. Um, and to me, I still don't understand why, or, I think maybe some of the Friday 13th fan pages kind of hide my posts for some reason, or just people are not seeing it or don't know what it is, so they don't click on it. Um, I don't know. I mean, I would think something that Amy Steele and Kimberly Beck have some kind of involvement in, like you, Friday 13th fan would watch, but it's bizarre to me. But
Yeah.
who
Well,
knows? Algorithms. It's
well, for I can tell you, for anybody who watches my show, I'm going to definitely say they need to definitely go watch it. Victim No More on YouTube. Excellent movie, and you will not be disappointed. And like there's a lot more characters that I wasn't expecting. That was a refreshing take. So
yeah.
yeah, well, if it's any indication, my wife doesn't watch horror movies, but she watched Victim No More. Like the
Okay.
second time I watched it, she watched it. She was like, "Oh, so this is a Jason movie." I was like, "Get away from me!" But anyhow,
This is the first Jason movie I've ever seen. I'm like, well, that's not good. It's like first Jason movie you've seen.
well, she lived in a square box, and like the scariest movie she saw before she met me was "Follow That Bird, Sesame Street."
Oh, well, that was scary. I mean, we didn't know if Big Bird was ever going to get back to Sesame Street, and yeah, I was on the edge of my seat, and Chevy Chase cameo really threw me. So,
But I mean, like I said though, this Jason just seemed more homegrown, and in a way, like all the other Jasons seemed more methodical. Like, okay, I'm gonna kill you here and I'm gonna kill you here. This
yeah,
Jason was like, hey, if you're in my way, I'm just gonna take you out.
yeah, kind of. He was still a little bit methodical because he kind of set up after he killed the brother, he dragged them with him and kind of like set him up to, and I feel like Jason does that in the movies where that's why you always see bodies like swing out of trees and everything. It's
Yeah.
kind of like he places them in a way to scare, to put fear into the person that's seen him and run back to a cabin. Like there's always like a body that falls out of a tree or something, and that's so that person could run back into basically into Jason's arms so he can get him. So with him like putting him by the tree, it stopped the one guy to be like, "Hey, what is that?" Because it kind of looked like the back of somebody. And then he came around the corner and killed the girl. Um,
Which was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I um, and it's funny, like every single screening of that, there's always a few people that went, "Oh no," Like, because either they liked the actress or they liked that girl, or just expected maybe that she would be like a final girl or something. Like I don't know, there's a couple different ways you could take that. So it kind of like throws people off. Like they're gonna get it, but you don't know how or when because you think once they enter the cabin, all right, they're going into that cabin. This is when they're gonna get killed. But they walk around the whole cabin and then leave, and still nothing has happened. And then he came and got him. Suspense building, I guess.
Uh, well,
But
the reason I liked the fact that she's the one that happened to is because in most of these movies, whether it be Jason or just any other monster movie, it's always the guy who's getting his heart ripped out,
yes,
or getting his something a fist through him or something. But
or rib in his eye.
yeah, that was very imaginative. I was like, well, yeah, I guess it's a rib, right?
It's his rib. Yeah, he broke off a rib. Some people will watch it and go, "Did he just break off Jason's penis?" I'm like what? Like where's your head there? I don't know. Maybe it wasn't clear enough the way we shot it, but yeah, it's a piece of. That's why Jason touches his rib afterwards. He was just like, "Oh, a piece of me is missing now."
Oh yeah,
But that kill has been in my head for 25 years, and I'm like, I got to put that in something.
oh yeah. So with the way it ended, I mean, let's face it, with the way every Jason movie ended, Jason somehow still managed to come back for another one. Uh, you do have a part two coming out.
Yes.
If you care to elaborate about that one just a little, so then people can expect to know what to expect.
Um, so when I decided to do a sequel, not too long ago, um, I did want to kind of continue the story, but I also have, along with my love for Friday the 13th movies, I have a massive love for anthology films. Creepshow, Trick or Treat, Tales from the Dark Side of the Movie, Cat's Eye, like all these kinds of movies. I love the collection of short tales. So I was like, well, let me scratch two itches, do my Friday 13th fan film sequel and do an anthology movie and make the sequel a feature length movie with like four short stories and a wraparound story. And the wraparound story will continue where we left off.
All
Um, and what the short stories are, the four tales, that we'll kind of weave in and out of, we will go back into the past of some of these women that you see at the end that seemingly come out of nowhere. So it's like you're going to get some of the backstories for some of them and get an idea of like what, like, how they came together and um, what their deal is. And, going into their past, we find out what kind of trauma they dealt with. And they're all connected to Friday the 13th in one way or another, whether it's through relatives of characters from the original franchise, or uh, things, characters that maybe we never, like, we kind of moved on and we didn't find out what happened to certain characters. We get to see what happens to them in this movie through one of these stories. There's definitely surprising reveals and twists and turns and all kinds of things in all four of the stories. Um, and one of the stories is, and I try to be true and in continuity with at least the first eight Friday the 13th films. Um, Now, there are things that happen even in the first Victim No More that might counter that, or so it seems. Specifically, you see Jason walking out of the lake, breaking a lock around his neck.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of fans might question, well, what's that all about? I mean, does this mean it takes place years after part seven? Then what about part eight? I'm like, it'll all be explained. If not in this movie, then the third and final Victim No More. We're gonna go back to all of these ideas. So it will all make sense. Years will line up in continuity. So it's a planned trilogy eventually.
No.
So we will, and the third movie won't be an anthology. It'll just be a single story. Um, but it'll bring everything full circle, and that'll be everything I have to say about Friday the 13th because I want to move on to a lot of other different projects.
Nah.
So, but
Uh,
so it's an anthology film. We're going to explore all kinds of different situations and characters, and hopefully, a lot of the fans dig what we do. Um, it'll definitely be different, just like the first movie, where some people might have an issue with it. Some people will enjoy it. I'm still shocked every day by YouTube comments being so positive about the movie. I mean, like when we first started getting all the positive feedback a year into when it was on YouTube, I was shocked because you know how the internet is. It's half the it's like 50-50 usually. It's like half the people hate it. It's the worst thing that they've ever seen. And then other people is like, it's great, I love it. And a few in the middle ground. But like it's like 90% like positive feedback, once in a while. And I don't get me wrong, I love the negative reviews. So like anything bad you have to say about the movie, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, that makes it more real to me that it's out there and people are like hating on it because it's like, all right, again with the algorithms, I'm like, are just people who like the movie commenting? Like, what's going on here? Like, where's my haters at? So,
oh yeah. Well, I mean,
uh,
being in that industry though, you gotta kind of like you said, you gotta take the good with the bad and the bad with the
yeah,
good. And
absolutely.
I think people can be a little bit too criticizing on certain things though.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
and,
they could be vicious.
oh yeah, I find myself doing that sometimes too. Like my rating scale is 1 to 10, 10 being best, one being worst.
Mhm.
Hardly ever does a movie get a 10. Now it has all the blood and gore and all the good things that people need, but I won't give it a 10 if it's like 5 minutes, not if it's not longer 5 minutes. And I
Right.
mean that's not fair to the film, but on the same hand, that's just me wanting more. So yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are some movies that they don't even get nowhere near a five. So
Night of the Creeps is a 10 for me.
Night of the Creeps is in my Hall of Fame.
I would even say there's four Friday the 13th movies that I love so much that I would, I guess, give a 10 to. Even with its flaws, I might be like, still a 10.
Yeah.
Which is one, two, four, and six. I love those movies. So
4 and 6 are my favorite. I
four and
did
six
like
are my favorite. It's actually four, six, two. Yeah.
actually. So for me, it goes 4, 6, 7, 2, 1.
Okay.
Only reason I say seven is because I mean Jason is normally just that type of person that's like, I'm gonna kill you no matter what. But the fact that she can do all this stuff with her mind and he
Yeah.
does, I was like, that was a refreshing take on a final girl. But I mean, I get it.
It's a fun battle. That's for
Yeah.
sure. It's a fun ongoing battle that um, like it's not just like a climb. Like it's a climax that goes on for like 20 minutes or something of the movie.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's fun.
Oh yeah. What's funny is when I met Kane Hodder, I've done met him twice now. But
Mhm.
first time I met him, I was like, hey, what was your favorite kill? And he turns around and he goes, well, what was your favorite kill? I was like, I have a lot of different favorite kills, but my favorite line right before you killed somebody was part 8 when old boy was on the roof with you and he was punching you and he goes, take your shot, your best shot, motherfucker. And I was
Yeah,
like, that was pretty badass.
yeah,
you know,
Julius.
yeah. But the thing is like you can never really get too much of Jason. Like I think I've sat and watched this last week maybe 15 to 20 different fan films.
Mhm.
And next is going to be Michael Myers, and then I don't think there's really too many of Freddy Krueger, but
There's not a lot, but there's a couple of pretty good ones. One of them I just saw recently, so I'll recommend it. It's only 20 minutes long. It's a Freddy fan film. It's called Dream Girl. Look it up. Really well done, really well made. My biggest complaint on it, I'm not going to spoil much about what happens in it, but the only thing I'll spoil is that Freddy's hat is way too small for his head, so it looks a little. But other than that, it's a pretty damn good fan film. Like, check out Dream Girl.
I
Um,
definitely check that out.
yeah.
So other than Victim No More 2, do you have any other projects coming out?
Not at the moment. This is my full-on focus for the year. Uh, after after that, depending on how I feel, after its release, either I'm gonna try and jump right into Victim No More 3 and complete the trilogy, or I'll put it on a back burner, take a break, and do a different project. Um, it's funny. Catherine Mary Stewart was over here a couple days ago, and we were having a directors meeting. She's going to be co-directing this film with me. Um, and this is not normally her type of movie, but she loves directing. She loves being around cast and crew and the whole process, that she's been doing for 45 years in the industry. Um, so she loves doing this, but I keep saying like, I'm like, all right, when we're done with this, we'll do a romantic comedy or something, So, but I was kind of half joking because I'm like, I love all forms of film. So I do have like romantic comedy ideas that I have straight up comedy ideas and sci-fi fantasy film ideas. So after this film, I'm probably going to, which is the beginning of next year, it will be released. And then I'm going to work on kind of building up my company and releasing more things. I made a bunch of short films with a partner of mine, Rob Harrison, uh, from like 2001 to 2006. We made these early short films that I want to put on Blu-ray and with those along with other uh friends films I want to put in like these collection packages and sell them at conventions and or if the off the website and hopefully make a little money off of that and split the profits with whoever the filmmakers are. So because back in the early 2000s you couldn't go to a convention without like a million independent filmmakers selling their movies on DVD, their backyard home movies, shot on like mini DV cams and stuff. So, and they all kind of look like Screamwalkers, 10 out of 10, right?
Yep,
So
that was an excellent movie.
I love Screamwalkers. I'm sure you enjoy my flawless cameos too.
I mean, you just popped out of nowhere. I was like, "Yep, there he is."
I'm a cop directing traffic. I'm a cop sleeping in his car when I'm supposed to be watching a house.
Oh yeah,
Uh, It pop up, I think, two or three times. Um, Such a blast making Screamwalkers. Loved it. But anyway, like, the way that was shot is like how a lot of the movies were shot 20 years ago that a lot of the indie filmmakers would put on DVD. So I want to like contact a few of those people and see if we could like kind of upgrade those to like Blu-ray and color correct if need possible and remaster if possible.
uh,
So yeah, put out little collections of those. I think it'd be fun. Do that and then kind of get into other genres and do Victim No More 3 and yeah, and just see where we can go from there. Just build. I'm not looking for it to be, get my foot into the industry or anything like that. Just kind of build up my own resume for my own entertainment. I'm in this to not make money, but entertain myself and entertain my friends.
Uh, that
And, and,
seems.
and whoever wants to love it or enjoy it, they're along to the ride, and that's great. I love it.
Uh,
And building the community of like uh Long Island actors and filmmakers that we've already, myself and Sean King and others like us have, found, and the community is really growing, and we're all just having fun.
uh, I mean, that seems to be the general consensus amongst a lot of the people I've talked to is like they're not in it to be rich. They're in it for the love of the game, which to me shows more passion for what you guys do. You know,
Right. Yeah.
like you can put out $1 million movie, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a good movie. You know,
Mm.
like a lot of people love. This is going to be a hot take here. A lot of people love the new Nosferatu.
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but because I enjoy that time period and the costuming and the actors and everything. Um, but I quickly realized about 20 minutes into it that I'm like, oh yeah, Nosferatu is just Dracula. And I've seen this story 8,000 times already. Like, so beat for beat, I knew where it was going and what was happening. And I'm like, I'm enjoying this now on the big screen, but it's like I never need to see this movie again because it's just Dracula all over again.
Oh yeah.
And I rather watch my Hammer Dracula films or the 1930s Dracula movies, and um, even Bram Stoker's Dracula and other versions. But because it's like I've seen it so many times, and yeah, the mustache thing was like killing me. I know it's because that's how everybody looked then, so they had the mustache. But Dracula with a mustache always looks weird to me. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
but
Uh,
but
so,
yeah, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
uh, so if there was advice you could give to anybody who's trying to get into the industry, whether it be writing, directing, acting, producing, whatever, myself included, because I have written a script.
Yes.
The rework is almost done. Actually, should be done today. But just what kind of advice would you give them?
Exactly what we were talking about. Do not go into it looking to make money. Like it's a cutthroat, world, and it's like you got to be very lucky to create something, no matter how much you believe in the project, how much you're passionate about it, um, to get it made and picked up by a distributor and let it take off and make money off of it. I mean, not everything's going to be the Terrifier franchise, where it was just a simple little horror movie and it got lucky. Somebody went that one and then it just took off and it was in theaters and everything. It's like that's not going to happen. I mean, there's you know hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000, other horror projects that are just as good. Um, but they're not making anybody money. They wind up on Tubi or some kind of streaming app, and you know they're barely making pennies off of it. But it's like don't expect to make money. Like do it because you want to do it because you have a passion for making movies and loving movies and wanting to see what you're creating. So, expect to go into debt, you know. Um, yeah, just do it because you're passionate and you want to you think it's a good idea and you want to entertain yourself by trying to go through with it and make it, and you know, um yeah, just go for it. Just do it. Just try and do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh, so now's the we're at the part of the show where I give you the floor. You can promote whatever you want to promote. Uh, Tell people where they can reach you or not reach you, and where they can watch your movies and all that other good stuff.
Okay. Primarily, a lot of the things you could see of ours on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is 3PD Films. Just type in 3PD Films or Victim No More, and you'll find 3PD Films. I post a lot of videos on there. Just recently, this guy's great guy, Aiden Finnegan, he edited a 38-second trailer for Victim No More because we never had a trailer for the movie from 4 years ago, because we had a deadline for the premiere and we just kept working on editing it, so that was the deadline to make the movie. So we never did a trailer for it. So I said, all right, it's time for a trailer, like 4 years later. But it was great because then we had like reviews to put on the trailer. So like we have reviews from Dread Central and Happy Horror Time and a couple other things. So we threw those into the trailer. So you can see the trailer for Victim No More in there. You could also see the trailer for Loose Ends, Victim No More Part 2. We shot a 3-minute teaser um, from footage that we shot last year, that will kind of give you a taste of what it could be about. Um, and the guy Aiden actually cut together a 30-second trailer out of that too. Um, but there's all kinds of videos on there. There's a lot of videos, on location videos from me at like Friday 13th locations and all the horror movie locations, uh, promoting our website, victimnomorefilm.com, which usually has merch that you could purchase on there, but that's shut down right now because if you go to the website, again, victimnomorefilm.com, there's a link that'll bring you right to the Loose Ends Victim No More Part 2 Indiegogo campaign, which is still going on. It's going to be up all year. So if you want to contribute to the project, there's amazing perks on there. Uh, the typical stuff that you get with Indiegogo campaign perks, t-shirts, beanies, a copy of the Blu-ray, autographs from on posters and things like that. But producer credits, have a lot of great um, items in there. Like, I mean, if you're going for like associate producer or like executive producer, like there's, you know, I've had people say like I'm way too generous when it comes to like the perks and the items because other campaigns that do like it's like you got to spend $2,000 just to get a couple of things and an IMDb credit. I'm like, it's for me, it's like every if you donate $10, you're getting your name in the credits, like no matter what. Um, every dollar counts as far as I'm concerned. So that there's a new thing where if you contribute $200 or more, um, you can be an extra in the film. We have a huge day of filming. It's going to be a big bar scene. So if it's if scheduling permits for the person that gets that, they can be in the movie. And also, I have a new limited edition Loose Ends poster that was just created. And right before I came on here, we just started promoting it on our Victim No More Facebook and Instagram pages. So you can find us on there at VNM underscore 2020 is Instagram, and Victim No More. You can just find us on Facebook. But this is our Loose Ends Victim No More Part 2, old school. Something old school
Oh yeah,
posters, boxes with actors in it and stuff like that. So there's
oh yeah,
Kathy right there.
yeah.
And some of
I'm
the
gonna
other
have to get
characters.
that poster.
Yeah, and some people sneaking out of the dark in there. Four Tales of Twisted Terror, like a old school anthology film. But so this we will have um for sale at Creature Feature Weekend in Gettysburg next week. Um and the Friday the 13th mini con at Blairstown Diner, which fans know in New Jersey, Blairstown Diner is in Friday the 13th and is, a bunch of actors will be there signing and stuff. We'll be selling there and we'll have this poster for sale there. We only made 250 of these. Um, so very limited.
Uh,
And yeah, if anybody does 200 or more on the campaign, they automatically get that as part of whatever perks that they choose. Um, yeah, so YouTube, our website, which brings you to the link of the campaign, Victim No More on Facebook, on Instagram. We do have Vimeo, but I never promote that really. Um, IMDb, I got to get on and create a page for this. I like to create the IMDb page as I'm making the film. That
yeah,
way, it's because if an actor bails for some reason or another, or you know, um, I like to just make sure I don't have to redo the cast in IMDb. I like to make sure it's almost complete before setting that up,
no, yeah,
just in case, because it's a process to get that info in there.
oh yeah,
Um, Laura Marie Taylor from Friday the 13th Part 2 will be in our film. Not playing Vicky from Part 2. Obviously she's dead. um, Beatrice Bopley, who played Freddy Krueger's mom in Nightmare on Elm Street 5. She's gonna have a cameo in our film in one of the stories. Catherine Mary Stewart, obviously, will return, and so will Jill Whitlow. And working on a few more, actually, Friday the 13th, um, former cast members trying to get into the film.
oh, yeah.
Uh, so that's it, really.
Yeah. So a little bit of news that I don't know if you know, but maybe James told you. You're Jason. So
Oh
I
yeah,
reached out to him. He's going to be coming on the show.
that's awesome. Yeah, he told me about it yesterday. I saw him and his wife, and he told me that he was going to be. When is he coming on?
I don't know if we made a complete day yet, but
It was after Creature Feature Weekend. I think he
yeah,
said that. Yeah.
yeah. So not this week, but maybe the week after or 2 weeks from now. So, but
Okay.
yeah. And I did reach out to Catherine Mary Stewart, and she has agreed. We just got to work out a day.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she'll happily discuss this and talk about co-directing and how she have you met her at a convention or
Uh,
anything?
Not her yet. I haven't met her. Yeah.
Where did you meet Jill Whitlow?
Motor City Legacy. That's also the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's also the same place I met Jason because they were like he was there the first year, she was there the second year, and I was like they were the main draws for me to go. Well, that and plus the Nightmare on Elm Street 3 cast and 2 cast,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, I'm lying there because everyone who was at Motor City Legacy I actually talked to, but those were the main draws. So,
That's great to hear. Yeah, Jill loves her fans.
oh yeah,
What's your favorite top three Nightmare on Elm Street movies?
part 3 is the best one in my opinion.
Me
Then I'm
too.
gonna go part 4.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna go part 1.
All right. Um, yeah, three for me, I guess it's 3-1-4. 3-1-4, I guess. I mean, I love Freddy versus Jason. Like I have so much fun with that movie.
Oh yeah,
And I definitely put it up there if you want to count it as Nightmare on Elm Street or a Friday the 13th movie. Um, part 8 and part 11, I guess.
yeah,
Respectfully. Um, but my biggest issue with Freddy versus Jason is that Freddy only kills one person in the whole movie. And
yeah,
it's like, man, Freddy hasn't been around for years and you just have him kill one person. I'm like, it's lame. Um, well, I guess he kills Laurie's mom in the past, but we don't really see that.
yeah.
I don't know, but I
Yeah.
think that's just lame. But
I like. So everyone hates on this one, but I actually like Jason X. You
Yes,
know,
the sci-fi comedy of the franchise.
but he has the most on-screen kills in that movie.
Yeah, because the space station explodes with like hundreds of people.
Very
So
true.
it's like, well, yeah, I'm like, I guess, yeah.
But
I guess you can count that as like Jason Takes Manhattan, where like a boat sinks with like people that we don't see that also drown.
oh
So
yeah,
like it's kind of his fault too.
oh yeah. I'm not gonna lie. My favorite part of Jason Takes Manhattan is just when he's walking and he kicks over the punk rockers' radio,
Yeah,
and they're all
yeah.
like, "I'm badass. I'm gonna mess you up." And all of a sudden, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we're good. We don't
It,
want
it,
none of you."
it's cool, man. It's cool. It's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but no, it's all those movies like they all have their own vibe. Like I think the only one to me out of the 1 through 10 of the
Well,
Jasons that actually has like 100% horror vibe was part one.
mm.
Because part two kind of had a little bit of the comedy, and then part three, well, no, part three was kind of, well, no,
Well,
part three also had the comedy.
even part one had like the goofy character in the Indian thing, but it's like you're gonna have young people in the movie at one point or another. You got to have some goofy teenagers or 20 something year olds being wacky in there. As long as Jason's not goofy or Mrs. Voorhees, um, then it's still a serious horror film. It's
Uh,
just, where I think they sometimes, yeah, like Jason X, it's like they're being goofy throughout the whole thing. They're just one-liners constantly, which can be a little irritating. But Jason is still serious,
oh yeah,
cracking jokes. But it's the time it came out in. It was, you know, in that I like to call it the Scream era comedy thing, where like between 96 and 2003, it just had that sense of humor where like they're cracking jokes as they're being chased by a killer. And I'm just like, which I never liked. Um, Urban Legend had that, and there was a bunch. I mean, there was a couple of serious ones, and like Jeepers Creepers, there was no comedy in, but like, I feel like Freddy versus Jason was like the last in 2003 of that style, because then I feel like horror got really serious again in 2004. Um, like look at the movies that came out 2003, like say Freddy versus Jason, where they're like, the girls mouthing off to Freddy and saying like, "Oh, with your little butterfingers," and they're making jokes and that goalie's pissed about something, like saying lines like that. And then the next year we get Saw and like The Hills Have Eyes remake, which was brutal, and even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake was pretty serious and brutal. Um, Wrong Turn. Um, yeah. So, they always had like a campiness, I guess, here and there in
oh
those
yeah,
movies.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I just one of the things I love about independent film is you guys know how to throw in just the right amount of horror compared to the campiness, compared to the drama and the seriousness.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
like you guys have a knack for giving us every single emotion, whether it be in a 40-minute movie or an hour and a half or however long.
You talking
And,
about me and Sean King?
well,
Well,
see,
Streamwalkers is like that too. It's like there's some goofy stuff in it, but then it was like, the actors are just bringing it, like they're being serious.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Anything Sasha Graham is in, I'm watching.
Yeah, I just watched something with her in it. After I talked to her yesterday, I was about to put on something. What was I about to watch? I was about to watch the one that just won Best Picture, Honora.
Uh,
But I was like, I don't feel like watching it. Like I just got off the phone with Sasha Graham. I'm like, let me put on a Sasha Graham movie. So I went on Tubi and I watched Brimstone Incorporated,
Incorporated. Yep.
which is an anthology film. And right
Hmm.
off the bat, I was enjoying the hell out of it. I was like, "Oh, this is great." I'm like, and Sasha's great in it, and like this is fun. I mean, I thought some of the stories went on a little too long, but it was cool. It was cool. I enjoyed it. Yeah, and she's always great, and she can't wait to be in this. Oh yeah, another cameo appearance. It's Sasha Graham.
Oh yeah.
Um, and yeah, I recently watched Polymorph, uh,
Hmm.
which is fun, and I'm not sure how many other movies I've seen. Bloodletting I've seen. Um, and I still want to see Trivial.
Excellent movie.
Yeah, yeah, I remember you saying that when she was on like Trivial. Where can I see that on? Is that on Amazon?
You can actually, it's on. I want to say it is on Amazon Prime, and I want to say maybe it's on Tubi now. I
Okay,
know for a fact it's on Amazon Prime.
all right.
Yeah,
And she's like a main character in it, right?
yeah, she's the main character. Yeah,
Okay. And I'm
and
looking forward to Side Effects May Vary. I can't wait
that's
to
a
see.
good one too.
Oh, you got to see it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Uh, the reason, like, there's certain characters, there's certain actors, there's certain directors and stuff. Like, I really have to see everything they've done, if that makes sense. And she's just one of those people that is like, regardless if she's playing, like the main villain, the main good guy, or whoever. I mean, it's like it's always something different, and she brings a different dynamic to every single role she's in. At least in
Right.
my opinion. Yeah.
No, she's awesome, and I'm really happy. You know, I've met her well through Sean King, having her in Streamwalkers, and now I'm going to be able to direct her. Um, yeah, just a couple weeks ago, I was telling her like I think you're kind of officially a part of our group now of filmmakers. Like you're, I can't imagine not using her in something now. You know, like if she's available
Oh yeah.
or if it's possible.
Yeah.
Uh, and she lives right here in New York City, so for her to come out to Long Island to shoot whatever, um, she has fun on set. She just has a lot of fun, and she's friends with Catherine, so she's excited to be directed by her.
Oh yeah.
Um, if scheduling lines up that way,
Oh yeah.
scheduling I'm dealing with right now, that's rough, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah. Well, we're ending the ending of the show. Uh, I'm gonna let you close out the show any way you want to close it out, and
Bye. No,
no, you can say
watch
whatever you
Night
want
of
to
the
say.
Creeps. Screw Victim No More. Watch Night of the Creeps and Night of the Comet.
Yeah, Night of the Comet is an underrated movie.
It's a great movie. It's just so much fun. Everybody that I've shown Night of the Comet to, they're like, "That was a great movie."
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and Night of the Creeps is just fun. I don't know how you cannot really enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
Um, let me close it by just pulling random DVDs off the shelf and see what your thoughts are on them. How about that? I'll do
Sounds
three.
good. All right. Sounds good.
Unfortunately, my horror section is way over there.
Oh, that's fine.
We won't do it. Okay. How do you feel about Killer Tomatoes Eat France?
Movie was good to the point
What?
of to where
Okay.
it was good to a point to where it wasn't. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, totally, totally, totally makes sense. How about this is all my comedy. Okay, wait. All right. How do you feel about? Have you seen this movie about a man and his melons, Mr. Majestic?
Oh, I seen that a long time ago. Big Bronson fan, probably one of my lesser favorite ones, but still good.
Yeah, rewatch this. There's there's watermelon jokes, and he's just a man who wants to pick his watermelons, and people gotta people gotta fuck with Chuck, you know.
Oh yeah.
All right, and one more. Let's see. Uh, what about class of
Uh,
1984?
I have
One,
seen that
one to
movie
10. 1 to 10.
9.
Whoa! All right.
Yeah.
What about
And
class 1999 with the Android teachers and stuff? That's a good
that
one.
gets a 10. I like that one
That's
better. Well, see, I'm a big fan of, like Pam Grier and just, well, just everyone who was in that movie did that movie justice in every single way.
okay.
And the fact that, the older brother was like, I don't want to be part of the gang and all this other stuff. Then all of a sudden they, beat me in. I'm like, this, it was a good movie.
Ian.
Yeah.
That's a crazy romp. All right, wait, one more. Have you ever seen Massacre at Central High?
I have seen that. It gets a 7.
Okay, 1976. Um, it's kind of Heathers before Heathers was
Yes.
made. Like a guy who doesn't care for bullies, so he kills the bullies. And where the weird twist happens is like, all right, then the nerdy guys that the bullies were picking on, they start getting cocky and a little bit you know, acting like smartasses and thinking they're all that. So then like the guy starts killing the nerdy guys too. And it's just like and in
Uh,
crazy different ways, like locker explosions and boulders crushing people.
uh,
And there's Trish Jarvis right
mhm.
there, Kimberly Beck,
Yeah.
um, who has still never seen this movie. He didn't have a good time on this
Uh,
movie.
well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nah, Bob, you've been a rock star. You've been an all star,
You too.
and
You too.
well, yeah. Like I tell everybody, or try to tell everybody, it's your show. I'm just here to ask questions. So,
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on, and I look forward to your rating for our film when it's complete.
oh yeah, I will. Trust me. I'm honest with all my reviews. If I don't like something, you're gonna know.
Well, there's got to be something you weren't crazy about in Victim No More. So where does that rank?
I didn't
And you
like
don't have to worry about hurting my feelings. Like 1 out of 10, where does that fall?
so Victim No More. I'm gonna give it a strong 9.9.
Oh my God, that's way up there.
The only reason it didn't get a 10 is I wasn't a big fan of how the brother was.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
that was the only drawback, and I'm like, you know, if he was a little bit
You-
more less assholish, but I think there's a reason you did that.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I thought I was kind of making a character who's like a mix of Shelley and um Jimbo, Crispin Glover's character, where with his oddness and the way he was and the way he said lines and stuff. My guy is just an oddball. So it's like a mix of those two characters kind of squished together.
Oh yeah.
But
But
yeah.
that's no disrespect. That's just me being honest.
No. I appreciate honesty more than anything, you know.
uh, if you want to know a movie that I hated
Okay.
downright, and I will never give it a review, is the remake of The Crow.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard people absolutely despise the movie
Uh,
and everything about it. I was never a massive Crow fan. Like I liked the movie, but I know there was people that like live and died by the 1994 Crow movie, and I was just like, I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. And then I think I watched all the sequels, and I was just like, I'm like, all right, whatever. So
I agree.
I'm curious on what my thoughts were on it. Like, because I didn't see it, but I'm wondering if it's one of those cases where, like, well, if I wasn't a huge fan of the original, maybe I would enjoy it, you know,
Maybe.
like a different take on it or whatever. Like, because I'm just like, well, I'm not attached too much to, because sometimes that happens. Like, you have no attachment to the original film, and then you watch a remake of it and you think it's the greatest thing ever because
Yeah.
you never cared much about the original. So,
Uh,
I don't know.
yeah. Can you give me 1 second? I gotta go grab something. I want to show you something real quick. I gotta
Just
run
go
all the
ahead.
way upstairs. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
You got
And entertain the audience.
entertain the audience. You're putting that on me. When I like to do a NC-17 podcast, I like to grab myself a cold and crisp, refreshing Diet Coke. It goes down good. It's burning my esophagus. Uh, I don't know how to entertain you guys. Has anybody out there ever seen Benson, the TV show? It's a spin-off of Soap that ran from 1977 to 1981. Benson lasted 7 seasons. All right, I'm not going to do this. All right, let's see. Ooh, real creepy anthology show. Every season was 6 episodes, its own story. Pretty good. All 4 seasons. Creepy imagery, creepy storytelling. Not so much on like, splatter and gore, but good suspense and just creepy storytelling. 4 seasons of Channel Zero. Good stuff. I like it. One of the all-time greatest TV shows ever made, Freaks and Geeks, the complete series, 19 episodes. Check that out. And something else I could show you guys. No. See, kicking it old school. Jamie Kennedy is a kid in the 80s, goes into a coma, wakes up 30 years later, wants to put his breakdancing squad back together. Miguel A. Nunez from Return of the Living Dead and Friday the 13th Part 5 is one of his buddies. It's hilarious. Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor from Smallville, is hilarious in this movie. It's a fun movie. I like it.
Sorry.
Check out Catherine Mary Stewart in Mischief, 1985. Celebrating 40th anniversary.
I am so sorry. I've never walked out of.
Kathy.
I've never walked out to go get something. I am so sorry.
No problem. This is fun. One last movie. Albert Brooks' Mother is a very funny movie.
That is a good movie.
I love Albert Brooks movies.
Oh yeah. So my favorite
There you
movie.
go. That was I tried to entertain, but I don't know.
Oh no, it's all good. I'm sorry. I truly am sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So good.
One of my favorite movies of all time, and I
You're
had to
gonna
go get
laugh when you go back and watch what I did. So
it.
probably
Is Return of the Living Dead,
yes, one of the all-time greatest.
and I was at a horror store here
There's
in
Return of the Living Dead
Michigan.
right there with a bunch of signatures on it.
Oh yeah.
Linnea. Oh, you don't look too good.
This movie, and this is the first time I've actually had it on the show, I think. But this movie, in my opinion, revolutionized zombie movies. Like you got your Romero's, which I love,
Mm-hmm.
but this was the first zombie movie where they talked
And ran.
and ran.
Yeah.
But not only that, it was also the first zombie movie that had where they can idealize and kind of set traps.
Yeah, yeah, like putting chains around doors and
Yeah, or
mowing, like
send
making.
more paramedics.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
uh,
Send more people so we could eat their brains. And
yeah.
eating brains is such a different thing too.
Oh yeah.
And it's
I,
funny, it eating brains became like a thing that like sitcoms and other TV shows would like mention, like reference. And it's like, well, you're only referencing Return of the Living Dead because that's when they ate the brain. Like, ah, brains, I want to eat brains. It's like, well, there's only one movie or a few movies that did that, and that they're all Return of the Living Dead.
oh yeah.
Uh, I absolutely love it. It's one of the best horror comedies ever, and it's one of the rare cases where you could watch it as a straight horror film or as a comedy.
Hmm.
And there's this interesting balance of both of those things where it's so well balanced in horror and comedy that like it's just a I don't know, like Dan O'Bannon created a perfect recipe with that film.
Oh yeah.
And whereas like part two is more comedy, you know,
Yeah.
or even the third movie is more horror. Like this was like a perfect mix of horror and comedy where you enjoyed all the characters. The characters are taking it very seriously. You can take it seriously if you want, but there's so many absurd things that are going on that you have to like giggle, rabid
Oh
weasels, like you just laugh at these things.
oh yeah. Uh, real quick story, if you can indulge me for a moment, and then we'll kind of wrap up the show. So first time I seen it was 1990, and I was eating a chicken dinner exactly at 8:35 p.m.
You
We
remember the
had,
time.
huh?
You remember the time.
Oh yeah, and it's weird. I remember a lot, but I was sitting there, had my chicken, my corn, my mashed potatoes, and my Fago Cola. And I was like, all right, I'm watching this movie. Started watching it. The first time they ate brains, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna set this food aside for a while.
Yeah.
But it was it's moments like that, especially from films that I really truly enjoyed, to where it's like, okay, cool, I can take a bite of this, or I can see what's gonna happen here, because I'm sure if I'm gonna pay attention to the TV, I'm gonna drop the food. So,
Right, right, right.
but no, it's that
It's
movie
a
changed my life.
it's a classic.
Uh,
Um, are you going to go to Living Dead weekend in Pittsburgh, where the
uh,
Monroeville Mall is? Have you ever been there?
no, never been there.
Where are you located?
Roseville, Michigan.
Michigan. I guess it's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
Living Dead weekend. They do it every year, every summer. It's at the Monroeville Mall where Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, my favorite horror movie of all time, by the way, was filmed. They always do usually a Romero-centric convention inside the mall. So the convention is actually inside the mall. Uh, they're having a 40th anniversary of Return of the Living Dead reunion and Day of the Dead reunion.
Huh.
And the mall was just bought by, I think, Walmart or something. So they're worried that it might be the last convention they have there. So if you can swing it, come
Yeah.
to this convention, meet all the Return of the Living Dead stars, Day of the Dead stars, Tom Savini and everybody. They'll all be there. They're there every year, and check out the mall where before it gets knocked down or changed or something. So I think it's June 7th weekend or something. So
Uh, I might be able to make that one. I know here in Michigan we have Motor City Nightmares,
yes.
and I go to that every year. It's the last weekend of July every year, and
Mhm.
it's always an awesome time. Me and my wife stay there for the whole weekend. Granted, she don't like horror movies. She just goes for the swimming pool.
She likes the
But,
hot tub. She
oh
likes the hot
yeah.
time machine.
But yeah, if you guys like, if you ever make it up here and everything, let me know. I can get any of your movies shown on in a big theater.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, I mean, next year, who knows? Like when this is complete, maybe there could be a double feature screening of part one and two. Um, and or screening Streamwalkers there or something. Yeah,
Uh,
no, that'd be awesome. Me and Sean will, maybe take a ride out there together. And
uh,
well, I want to check out that convention anyway because I heard it's a good time. So
it is. It's nice and quaint. So
it's in a hotel or a convention center.
it's at a hotel.
Okay.
The the Detroit Sheraton in Novi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Uh, I am sorry for stepping out. That I'm a bad host. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. If anything, I entertain myself. I Some
but
people might find out or whatever, but
all right. But
it's
I'm gonna go
fun.
ahead and let you go so you can relax, watch movies or whatever you're gonna
Yep.
do. Cause yeah. But you have been a rock star, and thank you for being a good co-host for when I wasn't here. You know.
Anytime, anytime.
Yeah. But
Anytime you want to geek out about horror, I'm
sure.
around.
Hey, I'm
So
gonna take you up on that. I mean, we might start our own stuff. Don't get me
that's fine.
started. No, I'm just playing.
And don't forget to contribute to the Loose Ends campaign for anybody listening to. So
Oh yeah.
um,
Everybody make sure you follow him on Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you go to victimnomore.com to go so you can support the Indiegogo for Victim No More 2 Loose Ends.
mhm.
Some
Or
stories
just go
can't.
right to Indiegogo and type in Loose Ends and you'll see it. It'll pop up. You'll
Nah.
see the image. So
Oh yeah. And I'll end it by this way. If you're going to walk in the woods, make sure you always look under your bed, even though there's not a bed in the woods. I don't know. You can, just don't die. There we go.
because there might just be a gremlin in your house.
There you I was more of a Ghoulies guy, but okay.
Okay. I'm a
Nah,
Ghoulies, I'm a Ghoulies go to college kind of guy, and that's what I
that
am.
that was a funny movie.
It is.
Yeah. All right, but Bob, you've been a true rock star. I thank you again.
Thank you
And
for having me.
once we get monetized for this episode, I got to cut you in because you were an awesome co-host.
Oh my God, please. Like I said with the campaign, every dollar counts or every 10 cents, you know,
Oh yeah,
matters.
oh yeah.
So
But yeah, it's been a blast. It's actually this is the longest episode I've ever filmed for my
what? What time is
yeah
it? Oh, I
hour and a
can't.
half.
Oh God. It's longer than Sean King?
Yeah, hey, I was on my one friend's podcast and we did that thing for 4 hours and I did not even.
Whoa.
I was like, yeah, that was a lot, but it was cool.
All right.
All right,
Well,
but
thank
yeah,
you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love this.
oh yeah, and you're more than welcome on anytime when Loose Ends comes out. I'll have you back on, and I'll be talking to James, and I might even reach out to some of the other people that, well, actually, not even might. I probably will reach out to some of the other people that were in Victim No More and talk to them and see their experiences.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait for you to talk to Catherine too.
Oh
James
yeah,
and Catherine,
oh yeah,
they'll tell stories. It's great.
oh yeah. But until next time, everybody, stay NC-17.